Okay, hi English 2 Honors students. Like I said in class today, if you can't make this extra meter practice session in the morning tomorrow, so Thursday morning right before homeroom, this is going to be the worksheet that we're working with. So I'm going to do a real quick review on how to determine meter. So this is that top half of your page. I'm working with a couple different actual sheets of this practice sheet. But just follow along on your own. So first of all, what are the steps for determining meter? Remember, you can do it. So take a nice deep breath. It can be done. We've done it in class together. So don't get yourself psyched out before you start trying. The first thing you're going to be doing after you remember the lines, and by the way, on the quiz, we're really going to be working with single lines of poetry. So it's going to be pretty isolated in terms of you are going to be determining one line and the stresses and the unstressed syllables in that particular line. So we won't even really be numbering the line of poetry. So your first step is going to be the step number 2. After you take a nice deep breath, you're going to be counting the syllables in each line. Okay, that's really important. A lot of the times, let's say, like we've said in class, if you have a line of poetry and it has 8 syllables, you're not going to see our 3-syllable poetic feet like the dactyl and the anapest because they just don't fit in, and it won't be that regular meter. And again, like I said, you're not going to be tested on a regular meter. So we're going to be working with regular meter. Okay, so nothing funny on the quiz tomorrow. And remember that, again, as a review, meter is really just the word for a certain combination of the type of poetic feet. Okay, so we're going to be working with meter, which is type. So one of those 4 types of poetic feet, and we'll go over those in a second. And then the number, so really like the number, the order, the way they're arranged in the line. And that's what makes up the name and really the naming of the type of meter that you're seeing. Okay, so remember, type plus number. The third step that you're going to be doing, so after you count the lines, you're going to be looking for these multisyllabic words. If there is a multisyllabic word in the line of poetry, it's usually easier to start with that one, especially if you're getting confused as to where the stresses are aligned, because all multisyllabic words have a natural stress or unstressed syllable in them. If that isn't the case, and even if it is the case, step number 4 is an important step because, again, especially if there's only monosyllabic words, so words that have one single syllable, like fill in the blanks. Normally, if there's an important word in terms of what's going on in the poem, so if there is a significant word that you feel the poet was drawing attention to, lots of times that's the word that's going to be stressed. So look for those important words. After that, you're going to go with step 5. You're going to fill in the blanks. So you will hopefully be able to identify some natural stresses and then sort of figure out what is going to complete the order of the stressed and unstressed syllables, and then that will help you to identify the meter. Again, the type plus the number of those poetic feet in the line. So really the arrangement that we're looking at, that's what that whole scansion, the scanning poetry is. As another review, an iamb. So an iamb, I like to do this with the iamb and the trochee, and we know that the iamb and the trochee are both poetic feet that have 2 syllables, and the dactyl and the anapest are going to have 3. Okay, so when I think of iamb, I like to put my own stress in there sort of as a device to help me remember, and I used Popeye in class to remember I am what I am, and that's what he likes to say. It's one of his little sayings. But you remember that the I am, it's an unstressed followed by the stress. So if that helps you remember, then that's great. Again, it's one single unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. When we're talking about the trochee, I'm not really sure why I say it this way, but just to help me remember the contrast, it's a flipped iamb really, so it's a trochee, and that's what helps me remember. Okay, it's the trochee, stressed, one stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable, and then you know that the dactyl is one stressed followed by two unstressed syllables, which makes up obviously three, and the flip, the reverse, is true for the anapest, so it is two unstressed syllables followed by a stress. Okay, so this should be pretty clear to you by now. I'm sorry for this copy machine issue. But iambic, trochaic, dactylic, and anapestic should be terms you are familiar with, okay? I'm going to switch to my untouched copy so we can do this along with one another. So like I said in class, what I want you to do right now is to practice these steps that were written right here, okay? So I want you to take a deep breath and pause the video, and you are going to try on number one, okay? So on the day of the explosion, all right? On the day of the explosion. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do, so hopefully you paused the video and you tried yourself, and you would have hopefully been attracted to this word, explosion, as monosyllabic. So I know explosion, I see this stress here in this middle syllable because it's that three-syllable word. So explosion. I know that this is unstressed, this is unstressed, and I found that stress in implosion, okay? The rest of the words in this line, excuse me, the rest of the words in this line of poetry are monosyllabic. They have one syllable, but because I counted the syllables in this line, I know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 syllables, and I would have already done that before I went looking for the monosyllabic word, or I'm sorry, the multisyllabic word. So now I have to fill in the blanks. I'm assuming that what's going to happen is we're talking about a day of the explosion, and it just happens to be true, and I know I flipped these stresses, sorry. So on the day of the explosion, so I know that this is a stress. On the day of the explosion, I hear another stress, so the is that unstressed. The of sounds unstressed, and the explosion. So we're talking about the explosion, okay? So it appears as though, especially because we have that 8-syllable line, that we're going to be working with one of these poetic feet. Okay, so I'm going to switch colors so it's a little bit easier to see. When I mark off my poetic feet, because I know that it's going to be a set of one of those 2-syllable feet, I see that it matches the trochee because I would have already known that it was a trochee, stressed and unstressed, okay? So if I count, I have 1 trochee, 2 trochee, 3 trochee, 4 trochees, okay? And that obviously becomes trochaic because, again, I know that to make up meter, it's going to be the type plus the number. And I know because there are 4 trochees in this line of poetry, it's going to be trochaic tetrameter. All right, so do you see how we did that? So I have trochaic tetrameter in that first